now for our feature presentation.
May I introduce to you Lancashire hot. Got hands together for the one and only. Got the mic. Hurry. Just a couple of northern monkeys. Hurry, Cuckoos.
Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Lancashire Hot Pod. Again, the new look Hot Pod. We are getting down with this virtual shizzle. We're in the room with Zoom, and I am joined by my virtual partner in crime now, Gav. How you doing, Gav?
I'm okay. All good.
Tommy Two Thumbs.
Tommy Two Thumbs.
What was that advert from? Tommy Two Thumbs. Was it something like Toshiba advert or something like that? It was some technical.
I don't know.
Thai food tea.
That was it. Thai food tea. That was Thai food tea. Gav, you joined us from a different location this evening. I'm loving the superhero vibe.
It looks like I'm living in my mum's apartment in the cellar in my own dungeon, like a computer geek and that. But it's not. It's obviously a kid's room, and I've been pushed out of the way tonight.
You're just getting a little bit of private space.
Yeah. Weirdly, it's in a child's bedroom.
We won't read anything into that. Don't worry.
I'll go there.
We won't. But listen, we are joined this evening by our good friends at Cuckoo Gin. Tom, welcome back. You joined us a few months ago, and obviously we've got a lot to catch up on. But how are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, guys. How are you?
Very well. Very well. I'm in an adult's room.
Yeah.
Until after the podcast.
Well, I mean, you're probably wondering what I've got a double duvet, double mattress stood up. Actually, it's for believe it or not, it's for acoustics. It's to absorb the sound when we were doing the podcast.
You'll tell us out, mate. You'll tell us out.
It's right. It's right. And Tom, you're joined by your colleague Mark. So hello, Mark. Welcome to the Hot Pod.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me.
It's fine. Now you let us into a little secret before, didn't you? That you've had a bit of a cheat night tonight, haven't you?
Well, I think most days are a cheat day, but managed to get myself to do a bit of exercise in the distillery, and then I think it was 20 to 8. I nipped out to go to the shop, and then there's a chippy van at the pub down the road. That's how they've been getting by, having fish and chips. So fish and chips it was. Oh, me and the dog finished it off.
Is the dog there? Is the
dog
still in there?
The dog has just been doing something to a cushion and is now running.
Well, when the dog comes back in, you can grab the dog and we can introduce the dog. Excellent. So obviously, Tom, you joined us a few months ago. Mark, you couldn't make that podcast, but do you want to just sort of kick off and explain what you do at Cuckoo? Is that all right?
Yeah. Tom probably went through the romantic story of how Cuckoo started. So I'm fortunate to have married well and married into the Singleton family, and then my father-in-law wanted to start a business together. So we diversified the farm into gin, and now I run the business with my in-laws, which we've just passed 3 years now. So it's gone very fast. But Tom joined us 2 years ago now, just over 2 years ago. So my role is the kind of day-to-day running of the business and trying to drive sales as well. And then making sure that Tom does his videos for social media as well.
So you are Tom's boss, basically?
Officially, but I think we'll try and keep the relationship much less formal, to be honest.
Well, I'm sure you do, because if it was a formal, then he'd be on disciplinary for that beard.
Mark's my agent.
or your beard's agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the beard.
How have you managed cultivating it, Tom, on lockdown? I mean, obviously no barbers out there. I mean, I assume you do a bit of DIY on it anyway.
I'm not very good at it, to be honest. I really missed the barbers. It was a trip I took every 2 weeks to get it sorted, and like I've tried.
Keep it under control.
Eh?
Tried to keep it under control.
Yeah, but my barber's got a knack for it, hasn't he? So he knows what I like, and I don't know what I like. So it's all up to the barber usually. So I've tried to, but my hair's slicked back as well, and But honestly, when Mark will tell you when there's nothing in it, it's like down here, isn't it, Mark?
No product.
No, I look like Cousin It.
It's I mean, just be grateful you've got her, mate.
Yeah, fair one.
Yeah, I mean, we have. I mean, I don't know whether this will come through on the recording, but we've sort of got like the top two guys who got full heads of hair and beards, and then the bottom two guys are perhaps a little bit more follically challenged.
I put my beard just there. It looks like, and Mike, if you just put your, Gareth, put your head up just a little bit more near the Rovers badge, it looks like you've got hair then.
What?
Borrow some of my beard.
Hey, what?
You wish. You wish.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been all right, Mike. To be honest, there's worse things happening than barbers being closed. So
very true, very true. And I mean, you know, when you joined us, I think, you know, one of the reasons why the podcast and the YouTube video was so successful. I mean, we talked about it offline, weren't we? It's had, you know, well over 1,000 downloads because, and Mark, you alluded to it there. You know, the background story of how Cuckoo came really resonates with people. And I think, you know, with being a local business, you know, really set in the heart of Lancashire, and the things that you've done around, you know, repurposing the farm, but also developing the Cuckoo's Nest. Honestly, the amount of people that I've spoken to, either on the podcast or just generally, who go to the Cuckoo's Nest and have it as like a social gathering and place to go, because you do your restaurants, your what how do you describe it? You just get you like pop-up stores, aren't they? Or people?
Yeah, I think we try and make as much use of the room as possible. So we've got the pop-up restaurants, which
that's it.
I'm sure we'll get into later, where that's a bit of our plans to reopen. We'll be including that. Obviously, the bar essentially is a social bar without TV screens, so no football. You got families of all generations coming, which is probably the best thing that we like. You know, seeing granddad with grandson, letting him have a sip of his beer or something. So yeah, and then we do the tours and the workshops as well. So I mean, it's one room. I'm in it now, but we try and make it sweat as much as possible.
No, of course, and so let's take back to the start of the year. I think Tom, after you joined us, you were doing is it the Food and Drink Festival?
Yeah, so November it was a really exciting time actually when I came down. It was a good time to do the podcast because we were kind of in the middle of sort of what we call in hospitality is like the kind of the rush. So you get the Christmas time, and it's when we get the most busy. Obviously, people buy much more alcohol around that time of year. Yeah. But when I came to you, so 17th we said, wasn't it?
It's November the 17th.
Yeah, which seems like an absolute age ago now.
Doesn't it?
But we came, and then a week later after that, we did our biggest show of the year, which is the BBC Good Food Show in Birmingham at the NEC. So yeah, that's probably our biggest time of the year around that time. So it was great to do the podcast then. And then obviously as we go into the new year, still excited. We have loads of plans. We sat down in January, and I'm sure I alluded to it when we met up last time. But we've never actually had a full year at Cuckoo. So we started June 17, so that's in the middle of the year. The year after that, I joined, so I came in like May 18. And then you're sort of in that weird period as a business of like going into your 18th month.
The council got involved as well.
Yeah, so the council got involved in 18. I think we talked about that, and it was like a misunderstanding in the end, and kind of blown out of proportion by the local papers, I think. But it was we had to close the nest.
Sounds like a scandal.
Oh, yeah, big scandal, yeah. And then
I was in the front page of the paper.
Yeah. It was, I think the headline was something like local gin distillery closes. And we were like on Monday morning just like doing everything normal. And I looked at the paper, I was like, hang on a minute, am I out of a job here? I've only just come. But it wasn't. It was nothing to do with that. We had to close the bar basically to appease the council, because we had one complaint. So
really? Was that noise, I assume?
Noise, mate. And I was just saying, just before we came on to Mark, the motorway behind us is, I've only just recently noticed how loud it really is. It's so loud.
I bet you can hear it when you listen to this back.
Yeah.
It's so
You're
loud.
that close.
Yeah.
The M61's just behind me here, and apparently across the road about half a mile away, you could hear the distillery. Stupid, but there you go. All that was dealt with. And then Christmas 18, we kind of opened again, started running the bar. And then obviously 2019, which we won't dive into too much, but was a bad year for Mark and the family and everyone, which kind of stalled everything we had planned for that year. And then 2020 comes, and we're like, this is it. 2020. It's a new decade. We've got all these plans. We sat down in January very early on.
I actually set Tom some targets.
Yeah, I had targets. And I was meeting them as well.
You weren't just meeting them, you were exceeding them, Tom.
I was exceeding them. And we had it all planned out to do. We had all these shows lined up, and we had plans for the bar. We had plans to do other things in the distillery. And then March, kind of St. Patrick's Day, I'd been on to a show in Cornwall, and that's when I first got the feel of like this COVID-19 thing, because people were starting to panic a little bit down there, and I thought, well, yeah, this must be another bump in the road, shall we say? But
So
we've cracked on.
Panicking as in people were talking about it having an impact in the industry, things were closing, things were sort of, becoming a reality that actually this is a big deal.
I think what it was when I were in Cornwall, it was the footfall of the event, and them events. So the trade shows we do, they're a bit. It's a catch-22 really, because you feel like you have to be there because other brands are there, and you can pick up good stuff from them. On the other hand, the footfall can be terrible. You could not speak to anyone for hours, and I think the Cornwall one, speaking to people who've been there previously, was really busy, and they'd done really well account-wise out of it. When I got down there, it was dead. I can't describe to you how many, I probably spoke to, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday I was down there.
I was midweek, I think, mate.
Was it midweek? I can't remember. Maybe it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but anyway, I spoke to maybe 5 people on the first day, and everyone was saying they're not coming because of what was in the news, obviously.
Yeah.
And I must admit, I think me and Mark spoke about it around the time. I was saying, it's just another thing for the news to talk about. Like, in a week's time, we'll be back to normal.
So it's a democratic hoax.
How wrong was I?
But we all.
It's still a bit surreal, isn't it? Seeing people with masks walking around and that.
Yeah, Gav, it is. I think the world's changed, hasn't it? In these 12 weeks, it's from a completely different world, and I think hopefully it'll go back to normal. Will it be like it was back in November? I don't think so. I think the world's changed.
The funny thing, I've been watching Game of Thrones for the first time. Finally got around to watching it. And my missus has already seen it, so she's watching it again. Even last night there was a scene, and they're all sat around the table, and in my head I'm thinking they're not distanced. See something on TV.
It's set in you, isn't it? When you see things on TV, it's like when was this filmed?
Yeah.
It's all good to be read. It's weird.
Yeah. So that's. They say you do something 17 times, it becomes a habit. I've always said this about things in life. So it's been that long now, the social distancing stuff, but it's just habitual, isn't it? You don't go near people. People walk into the distillery. We had a meeting this week. The first meeting we had, somebody came to the distillery to talk about some bottles and stuff. And he walked in, and normally, it'd be a handshake, and he sat across the table, and he said, "I've got some cakes. I know you northern lads like some pastries." and he's like, my hands are clean, but we just demolished them. But other people would be like,
we can't eat them for 72 hours.
I think They closed off Westeros quite early.
Yeah.
So it's not been affected, no one in or out.
Good.
No spoilers involved, don't worry.
No, I'm on season 5, so just don't say anything.
No, I
So
won't.
you've seen the Red Wedding then?
Yes. Oh, what a night.
Oh, that was like a big talking point for
Still
women.
not over it.
Still, really?
Uh,
I don't think Gav, you're not a Game of Thrones, are you? You've not.
I got into season 3. I tried it 3 times, and I got into season 3, and it just weren't appealing to me.
So it took me, I think it took me a good few seasons. Obviously, the end of the first episode was quite a shock. That put me off for a few years. And then not the falling out of the tower, the other bit.
Oh yeah.
And then, but I've got into it now. I think you've got to put the hours in, haven't you?
I much preferred The Last Kingdom.
So yeah,
You've been bigging that up. You've been bigging that up, and I watched Vikings. I like Vikings, so I think.
yeah, I like Vikings. It was good that.
With what's he called? No, I was going to say Ragnarok. Ragnar, isn't it?
Ragnar, that's it. Yeah,
it's
beast.
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. I mean, this social distancing stuff is here to stay. Obviously, some people are taking it more serious than others. I don't know whether you've seen the news recently, but there was a rave in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. 6,000 people turned up. There were fighting, there were shootings, there were stabbings. It was just an absolute. It was like everyone had been caged up for so long, and it just went pop.
They just needed to release.
Yeah.
But,
I understand that, like the frustration of it when you've, especially in the summer times when you want to have, there's a lot of fun to be had, but that is just stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who in the right mind? Well, obviously they're not. Do you know what I mean?
No, but it's not just, there's some people have been abiding by the rules, other people haven't. There've been some high profile, obviously, politicians that have been called into question recently, and I think it's just a difficult time, especially now things are easing. And I suppose from your perspective and as a business perspective, it's finding that balance. So, like some places, have gone like, stickers on the wall, stickers on the floor, keep 2 meters apart. I mean, in terms of opening, are you getting to the stage now where you're planning to open the Cuckoo's Nest again and do events, but put sort of social distancing things in place?
We did. We had a few of the staff in the other week to basically practice table service. So the plan is, don't know what Boris is going to say yet, but if Boris says restaurants can open with table bookings and, as long as there's fresh air flowing through the room, then we'll be ready for that. We can do our pop-up restaurants. And the staff will do table service on drinks, so no one comes to the bar. It's a one-way system. I've got the stickers for the floor, but I don't want to stick them down until I know we need them, because it'll be a pain to get up, I'm sure. So we're just hanging on with that. So we're ready to go. 4th of July is a rumour. I don't really want to open the Nest for a few more months as it was, because, on a busy Nest night from between 4 and 11, you probably have 500 people in and out. And I think that would be too much. So I think we'll open slowly, take bookings for tables. Obviously, it's less turnover for a business, but at least there's some money coming in. And importantly, the kids who work behind the bar haven't worked since March either, so it gives them something to do.
I mean,
we're just, they are the thing about being a business as well. There's no date, is there really?
No.
So it's all well and good. It's like 4th of July, blah blah blah, but you don't know, do you? So you get prepared, and then you don't know, there might be a second spike or whatever, and then you can't. So that's the most frustrating thing, that there's no date on it. You can't be like, right, this is when we open.
Certainty, is there? No certainty at all.
So we booked a holiday. Well, all my family's booked a holiday to Cornwall earlier in the year before they all kicked off. And me and the wife have just booked about 4 weeks ago, because our Greek holiday had been cancelled, obviously. And we were meant to be paying back end of this week, and they've sent us an email saying we might have another update by the 4th of July. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be said. So don't pay us anything yet, because we might have to pay you back. So it's just uncertainty, isn't it?
Yeah.
With everything, traveling, every industry really, no one knows what's going on. I haven't watched the daily briefings since The big one that Boris did, you know, when he said everyone's got to stay in.
Yeah.
I haven't watched anything since then because I just thought, trying not to get too political, but I thought it was bollocks, a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
I've seen your Twitter, Tom. Don't hold back on political things.
I don't,
Try and keep it off the work one.
don't say anything. Like, obviously,
Can he not be trusted
all
now?
views on my own.
No, we did one controversial. Well, it wasn't a controversial thing, was it?
No.
We've been doing the cocktail videos, which have been going down really well, and
Yeah,
I think
great.
it just keeps everyone having a laugh, and we don't take ourselves too seriously as a brand. So we did a little mock-up of I forget his name now. Dominic Cummings' interview in the garden.
Oh, the Rose Garden.
Yeah, so we did one in the farm, didn't we? Which was a bit like, you know, should a brand be doing this? But we weren't particularly saying anything. We were just kind of hinting at something. But it went down well. No one complained.
I think it was more tongue-in-cheek, and it was kind of that thing where, and I think from that moment, actually, this is just my personal opinion, I think that was the end of lockdown as we knew it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, definitely.
I think people look towards this bloke who's obviously got loads of influence within Westminster, and he's done, whether he did it for the right reasons or not, he's brought lockdown. If it was any other normal person, they'd have been dealt with. And I just thought,
It was a guy
after
who wrote
that,
the rules. It was a guy who wrote the rules. He put
and I
the
think
rules
after
together.
that,
He's the advisor, isn't he? He made the rules and then he broke the rule.
so I think after that, people were like, well, if he's doing it and and we're paying him all this money to do his job, then, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? So not that we thought, right, lockdown's over, because we've stuck to it, but it's I can see why people would think that.
Yeah.
So
I think an apology would have solved everything straight away.
yeah.
Move on.
Hands up. Listen,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, it probably wasn't the wisest thing to do. I thought it was the right thing to do for my family. In hindsight, it probably wasn't. I mean, you know, some people wouldn't have accepted that, but I think more people would have accepted it and got off his case.
Yeah.
Maybe a resignation as well.
Well,
Yeah, that would have helped, I think.
Well, it just highlighted, didn't it, the power of Dominic Cummings, and he was one of the chief Brexiteers, wasn't he? He wrote the sort of strategy and came up with a lot of strap lines. So I think there was quite a lot of animosity. But what also came out about it, and the sort of the side that perhaps we don't see, you know, is the abuse that he referred to, and you know, people heckling him in the street, and you know, obviously knowing where he lives as well, and you know, there is a darker side to politics and things like that, I think, as well. Which I'm not obviously condoning and saying that he doesn't deserve it or he does deserve it. It's just nature of the beast. If you're in that line of work and you do what he does in a public profile and you know makes gaffes, you're gonna cop it from time again.
I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't condone anyone shouting at anyone outside their house, but you know.
Unless you're in Burnley and passing a Burnley fan, just stand up. Actually, Tom. When is that? When's that top from?
This is this season's.
Oh my god! I thought it was like from the 80s.
Oh no, I wasn't even born.
Oh, don't make us feel old. So that's newest season. So you've been contributing to Rovers whilst there's no football.
Yeah, well, I miss it, man. It's been one of the things, hasn't it? Like not being able to. I mean, we don't go on so often, obviously, because people buy gin at the weekend, so that's when we're most busy. So we don't go on as often as probably we would like to, but I get to games when I can. Christmas time is when I go to the most away games and stuff. So, but
are you one of the? Have you bought yourself a cardboard cutout and had it put on your seat?
25 quid? No, I haven't, Gav. I'm not paying 25 quid for me mug to be on. Not happening. I might do it. I might pay 25 quid and put something funny on it though.
It's going to look like a big game of Guess Who, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't tell me this is cardboard cutouts. They're putting in stadiums, are they?
Yeah.
Look like oh god. What will they think of next? I mean, I know you can like CGI them in, but I mean, I don't know whether you watched the games. Was it last night? But I didn't watch it myself, but I saw on social media everyone was saying, oh, you know, it's just not the same. The atmosphere is not the same. The hype, you know, the whole experience is different now. And that's going to be the same for all sports. You know, I mean, I think, is it Ascot that's happening in the not too distant future? And again, that's going to be behind closed doors. So it's just going to be another thing we're going to have to get used to in the new normal.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it won't be like that for too long, but I mean, because I only saw highlights of like the City game and stuff, but it's great if you're a United fan who lives in like on the Isle of Man. You know what I mean? Because it's just normal to
watch the team from a distance,
to watch the TV and buy your shirt from like Sports Direct. Like, fair enough, crack on. But like, if you, especially as a smaller club like Blackburn, like the football can generally be terrible as a Blackburn fan, but it's not that. It's the going to Ewood and getting a pie and seeing your pals and that, innit? That's football, innit, to me anyway.
It is, and I think if we link that back to Cuckoo and the Nest and the community in Brindle and Chorley and the surrounding area, I imagine you've had quite a lot of feedback from your customers who are missing that as well, like missing that sort of community spirit, that social interaction, obviously missing the gin. And you know, you had music and your pop-ups and stuff. So what sort of feedback have you had from people generally about sort of that the missing Cuckoo link in their lives?
Just linking back to having no one in attendance. We did a couple of virtual tours, me and Tom. We did one last Saturday actually of the distillery. So touring, tasting. So usually our tour lasts 2 hours. 40, 50 people on the tour. It's informal. You get plenty of information, but it's laid back. You have a drink and a laugh, and Tom tells his stories and stuff like that. You kind of bounce off each other. So we did one in April just on our Facebook page, and then Booths invited us to do one on their Facebook page. So we had to be a bit more well-behaved for that. But what a strange experience. I mean, neither of us are actors. Essentially, it's either Tom talking and me holding the camera, and then or vice versa. With, you know, you can see how many people are watching at home on the Facebook Live, and you're telling a story that usually requires a bit of a laugh, you know, or something like that. So it's very, it was really strange, wasn't it? I
think as well, like the like going back to like a community as well. So when you have like say 40, 50 people in for a tour, that makes the tour. Do you know what I mean? It's people that make it. It's not me and Mark. I mean, we do very well, I must admit.
I'm sure you're contributing factors.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's 80% of it. 20% people help. You know what I mean? But it's that having something or someone to bounce off. So when it's just a camera, you kind of feel like you're talking into like nothing. So certain jokes you would normally say and people would laugh. It was like me behind the camera going like,
All about your tumbleweed.
yeah, nice joke, Mark. I've only heard that 100 times.
Yeah. But that fact, like it was a really strange experience. But I think the feedback we got is we've been doing a lot of deliveries, haven't we, Mark?
Yeah.
So we've been doing like the way the business has kind of adapted in lockdown is local deliveries. So everything's pretty much gone online for us.
I was going to ask, big part of this is sort of your digital sort of channels, and whether your website's gone skyrocketed, whether online sales are massively up, or so deliveries is something that you've really sort of upped, is it?
So we've kind of like online, and we can't thank people enough. Honestly, the support has been amazing for us. But online has just gone through the roof, or not just locally, nationwide. Up in Scotland, down towards like Cornwall, Devon, Kent. Already mentioned the Isle of Man, but the Isle of Man's been going there as well.
Are these new customers? Are these people that perhaps haven't sort of?
Well, yeah, I think because of what we've done social media wise, and we've kept it really active. The virtual tours have helped, and a lot of it will be word of mouth. I think people have been kind of saying, "Oh, I've got this lovely gin from blah blah blah." And what I've found as well with online is maybe someone who lives in Chorley is sending it to a friend who lives in Hampshire. and it's like introducing different people. So again, we can't thank people enough for doing that. But in terms of local deliveries, the feedback we're getting off people is like, oh, when you opening, when do you think you'll be opening? We miss it. We want to come back. And it's like, same. Like, that's what we want. Like, we would love that. So we can't shout about the locals enough. They've always been great, and they've been 10 times as great as well during lockdown. So
we spent a lot of time packing boxes and working out routes on route planners. First few times was a nightmare, but then we spent a bit of money on an online thing that does it quickly for you. But we were chatting before, respect for delivery drivers now. And that's a tough job. I mean, we don't put much pressure on ourselves. We finish when we finish. If you've got a schedule and you've got 80 parcels to deliver, and they don't give you much time between them, bloody hard. And especially one of the hard things is when people don't have numbers on the doors on the houses.
I'm guilty of that.
Did you, whilst doing deliveries, did you realise that most streets don't have a number 13?
No, well, some do though. You find out.
Yes. I think it's the new one. I think it's the newer streets.
Yeah.
But I've noticed recently that back in the day, they didn't put a number 13 on streets because people were scared. Obviously, it's an unlucky number, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody buy the houses.
We've not talked about it, but I have noticed that actually. There's not a lot, but there is a few. And they like it. We've delivered to a few number 13, so.
Yeah. Well, there's always a funny tale after a delivery of, can't find a house, or customers accidentally put the wrong house number on a parcel. Maybe we've made a mistake and put the wrong bottle in a box. Yeah. Just a lot of learnings, really. I think the more you do, the more chance of error. So, it's been interesting from coming into work and being like, right, what are we doing this week? What meetings do we have, or what events are we doing to? Right, Tom, are you doing shipping this morning? But without it, we wouldn't be sat here, on the back of what's been an all right 3 months, business-wise. Obviously, it's not been nice for everybody, but I think there's a group of people. Obviously, there's people out of work who your heart goes out to if people aren't being supported by any schemes. There's a huge group of people, especially in these kind of areas where they've got a bit of cash. They're not going out at weekends, so I think people just started spending money on like artisan booze, to be honest.
Well, I don't think it's just booze. I mean, Gav, we've had a number of sort of local producers on the podcast, whether it's the Bee Centre, whether it's Nout Ponce, although we need to redo Nout Ponce's because I cut the audio up. But what I've seen on Twitter, what I've seen on social media generally, is a little bit more of a focus on your local artists and producers and local suppliers. So, a big shift from getting your veg at the supermarkets to the market stalls, who then set up delivery. So all of a sudden you've got, like the big boys, the big players who could do your delivery and were expert in logistics, and they've got vans and they've got this, that, and the other, and it's relatively easy for them. But you've got a lot of local suppliers now who have essentially not necessarily been, well, they have been forced into it, but the demand has been there. So it's made it financially viable for them to do, and hopefully that will continue, and it'll just rebalance a little bit.
Give other smaller businesses another branch to the business.
Exactly.
Because
that's so important.
Online was tiny for us, if I'm honest. Before all this, you've got your different channels of your trade sales to pubs and restaurants, which obviously you lost straight away.
Yeah.
Income from the distillery itself, and then supplying to shops and the likes of booths. So we're essentially still supplying booths, who have been great, selling a lot of it. And then the online thing it was literally overnight. Like as soon as people stopped working, it was like, boom, how much booze can we buy? Obviously drink responsibly.
Absolutely, that's always the overwhelming. I mean, when Tom and I and Gav sort of got together for the first podcast, you were very, very kind and generous in donating to the Hot Pod a couple of bottles of the signature gin, which went down like an absolute like a treat. It was delicious. I think Gav, you'd not really sampled a lot of gin before then.
I'd only done it. I'd only had it a few times, but that was really nice. I did exactly what you said. Is it the Indian tonic?
Yeah.
the slice of orange in and just leave it at that. And it was really nice. I really enjoyed it.
I knew you would.
Sat there, wife went to bed. I was sat there with pinky out and gin and watching TV.
Brilliant.
You do that with a bottle of bud, to be fair.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any trends developing from online, like any particular product that's gone whoosh versus any others? I mean, obviously all the products are great, but has anyone
whatever's on offer?
Yeah.
Whatever's on offer.
I know. I think the pubs need to open because I'll be drinking less when the pubs open.
Yeah.
You'll be drinking less.
Yeah. They need to open again. I'm drinking way too much because there's nothing else to do, is there?
No, that's
Just
it.
thinking, can't wait for a pint, so let's get some beers. Can't wait for a pint, but
I've been having a glass of red wine every night, and I've never drank at home ever in my life. But now I think I'm hooked on that glass of wine every night.
Is it your one? Is it your vice?
It's my new vice, yeah.
New vice.
We were going through. Me and Liz were having like a gin and tonic every night, and then a couple more on the weekends. But I've just tried this last few weeks to kind of give a few days off, get back to kind of reality, because it's that first month was very strange, surreal almost. Put the little one to bed, and it was like, what the hell's going on in the world? Like, let's just have a drink to kind of just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, we're in completely uncharted territory. So I work for a big retailer. Stores opened on Monday. Footfall was much better than expected. I don't know whether you saw the things on social media with people queuing to get in Sports Direct and Primark. A couple of people said it were like bloody Black Friday in some stores. So you've got so many extremes happening at once, and like you say, we've already talked about the uncertainty. But what the sorts of things, obviously, work aside, Tom, you've already said that you're missing the football, but is there anything else that you've really missed during lockdown?
Mates, I think. Just
catching up with your buddies.
Bit of freedom, yeah. Just being able to say, all right, let's just go for a pint, or let's go to footy, let's go to a gig. Just little things like that.
Unwinding.
Hey?
Unwinding,
man. I mean, I do that every night anyway with a glass of wine now, don't I? But like, I think it's just like, I think having crack with people, you know what I mean? Like, meeting different people is a big part of our job. Like, we're always meeting new people. We hear different stories all the time. You travel in the country doing, it's always a different thing in the Cuckoo world. Do you know what I mean? So when that stops, and then you just you have to adapt and do something else, and everything's kind of horns in then on the distillery. For me and Mark, it's a bit like, it's not really what I'm used to. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've probably just missed people a bit, haven't we, Mark?
Yeah, mine's. I've probably seen the lads I grew up with more in the last 14 weeks than ever, because we're doing Zoom quizzes every week, and lads who've moved across the country, you probably see at Christmas. We're like, bloody hell, I'm seeing you again this week. To flip it in terms of instead of what have I missed, what I've enjoyed on a personal level, not work level, is not working at night, seeing more of the little one growing up, being at home a little bit more. And I think that work-life balance for a lot of people is something hopefully that comes out of it. I mean, it's probably a bit different for you, Tom, young, free, single. You probably want to be out all the time, but I think when you've got family at home, and I'm eager to get home, but then I'm also trying to run a business. You're trying to split yourself in two too much, and when you do that, usually the people that miss out is the ones closest to you at home. Yeah. You put them last for whatever reason you do. So I've quite enjoyed, being a bit more. As I said before, we're fortunate we've had the orders online to kind of ensure me and Tom have got a wage, and we can keep ticking over. But it's been nice to be at home, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with a lot of that. I think the big part of the job is working evenings, weekends, and of course, that's when most people don't work and they enjoy themselves. So it's been good in the sense that we've been getting home at 5 o'clock most times, and not really. I mean, we've worked Saturdays, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it's not been like.
I mean, hard work. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd be home by 4 or 5 o'clock. So in that aspect, it's been nice to kind of get a feel of what it would be like in that normal kind of 9 to 5 world. Do you know what I mean? But then there's not to do. So you can so long good finishing at 4 o'clock on a Saturday, but
I mean, going home to an empty house and
yeah, you're just like, what do I do now? Like, I'd much rather be working.
Essentially, Tom, you miss going out on dates.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I miss that a little bit, but I miss just going out with my mates and doing stuff like that. I think that you kind of take that for granted, don't you?
Yeah.
Just being out, let's just go to pub. But then, when you can't do it, it's like, well, you do miss it. But at the end of the day, I think the best thing is that we've all kind of, touch wood, we've been healthy throughout, haven't we? So that's important. That's the most important thing, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big thing, isn't there, about the north? It's a bit of a hotbed still. I think the R rate is still above 1 in the north, whereas other parts of the country it's less. And again, the reasons for that unknown. Is it that lockdown isn't being as followed as strictly as it should be? Is it that we've just got a lot of people close together, or the hot pockets? But I think we talked about the second wave. We just got to keep doing what we think is right. I saw my folks for the first time in 10 weeks, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. We did a socially distanced barbecue. They're in the garden. There are ways and means in which you can sort of adapt and make sure that you're staying safe, because they're both in high risk, categories. I'm sure as a lot of our parents are. But I think picking up on your point, Mark, about work-life balance is for a lot of people that have been furloughed, that balance has just gone completely skew-whiff. And whether you like homeschooling for me has been a big challenge. Sam's 12, so he's been set quite a lot of work, to the point that I was getting anxious about the work, whether he'd done it all and was it to the highest quality. We've had very little. I mean, Gav's stepson Callum goes to the same school as Sam as well. We've had very little interaction with the school other than through Show Your Homework app. So I imagine a lot of parents have been stressed out with homeschooling, and I've been lucky that I say lucky, obviously I'd much prefer to be at work than be furloughed, but they've had to balance working at home and homeschooling the kids. So, I think a lot of people have been anxious, stressed, really pushed to the limits with this entire sort of experience. And I know Gav, Kate works in school, so, Kate has been...
She's luckily she's been working from home and doing all right. But she's been struggling with Callum because he's obviously above the age that she works with. But yeah, she struggled with that. But she's, again, like you were saying, the work-life balance changed in our house. I've been working most of it. Kate's been at home, and it's just been totally different. I've been going home and everything's it's like I've met my wife again as well. Getting to spend more time here and meeting kids. Spending more time with kids. It's been that. Obviously, it's not been a good thing, but I've enjoyed that side of it, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, I think lots of people have, everyone's experience has been different, but overarchingly, we've all had the same challenges. We've always had to adapt and change.
I'm not being able to buy a toilet roll.
that was ridiculous in the early days, wasn't it? There was a bloody massive.
I was up in the last big event I did was in Glasgow. And it was like the 15th of March, wasn't it? Around that weekend. And I was up there from, I think, the Wednesday or the Thursday till the Monday. And it was after the Cornwall thing. And it was a lot different up north and in Scotland, the kind of reaction to what was going on down south, because I think it crept up from the south, didn't it?
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, there was more cases down there than what we were getting in the north, and we were kind of like, in true northern fashion, right to the last minute, like, this is not going to get us.
Holding on.
and I stayed in an Airbnb near, it was near Ibrox, actually, near Rangers Stadium. And there was an Asda just next door. And I thought, I'll just go, I need to nip and get some stuff for the event. I've never been in such a bare Asda in my life. There was nothing in there. I couldn't believe it. Literally nothing in there.
So
Like an apocalypse. It was weird.
Yeah. Weird.
What did you end up using, Tom?
Luckily, some leaves. Luckily, they had
On leaves in Scotland.
yeah. I had to get some Kleenex.
They'll be on expenses, won't they? Kleenex.
Oh, yeah, it's on credit card, mate.
Yeah, 20 packets.
Yeah.
And this time on the Lancashire hot bug.
Oh, boom, boom. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, like you say, I think the 4th of July is the next potential big change. You know, we've got our fingers and toes crossed that, you know, it does ease a little bit on hospitality, because out of all the industries, I mean, obviously aviation, you know, travel industry has been massively hit, but, you know, hospitality is by far is you know, one of the key industries that's been hit. I mean, just have you got the structure where you've had to furlough people, or is it just a case of, obviously, you know, some part-time workers who work on the bar? Has that happened for you?
There's 4 of us taking a wage full-time. Myself, Tom, a lad called Thomas, who does a lot of our bottling in the distillery. And then we've got Rob as well, he does a bit of brewing, maintenance, building. Everything that you see is kind of built. So there was kind of no real job for Rob at the time. So we furloughed Rob. I mean, he's quite happy. He's doing a few other things himself, trying to keep busy.
Yeah.
And then we furloughed all the bar staff as well, that's where the scheme's quite good, because a lot of them have either not done the GCSEs or not done their A levels. So they've no really to do. They have no money coming in. So at least it's not a lot. It's a couple of shifts a month, but at least they're getting something out of it. So yeah, we've used the scheme. In all fairness, the scheme was pretty good. We were paid back within a week of making the claim.
Okay.
Obviously, there's different things for self-employed people and stuff like that. But yeah, every business is different. So we're fortunate. Yes, we're hospitality, but we're also retail. And one thing that never closed, you could always open an off license. So that was what I found strange. Throughout the whole lockdown period, if you ran an off license, you were allowed to open.
Essential items.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know why? Because the government
Tom needed his red wine.
The government needed the duty on the alcohol, essentially.
Of course it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, the government have spent, God, I mean, if you look at the stats, you know, like when they're showing the graphs, and we've borrowed ridiculous amount of money, even compared to the 2008 crash.
Yeah.
The amount of money that the government has borrowed to enable the furlough scheme for however many 8 million workers. You know, the figures are just astronomical. You know, they hurt the head. And sadly, you know, that money will be recouped back somehow, whether it's our grandkids paying it through taxes.
Yeah.
It's got to be recapped somehow. But you're right, the furlough scheme has been massively helpful. I mean, obviously I've benefited from it as well in terms of, getting a salary, albeit at 80%. But like you say, it's paying the bills as opposed to companies that can't bring in the cash, so I've got to lay people off, make them redundant, which is just, you know, no good for anybody. I mean, as a business owner, were there anything else from the government that sort of has made it easier?
We were fortunate to get a grant as well at the start. Wasn't too big a grant because we own our own premises, which we benefit from. There was no kind of rental rates or anything like that. But no, I think from that side of it, it was really good. There's a few things obviously where it's like, you know, if you're a business owner, essentially, you know, I take a wage as I need a wage to live. But you know, my in-laws are business owners, don't take a wage out of the business. Couldn't claim anything. My wife's self-employed since September, so she didn't have. You know, she fell into that black hole where there was nothing available. So it's different. It depends on the size of your business, I think. Those like sole traders, you who are business directors without taking a wage out of it. That's where there's a kind of a black hole, and a lot of the smaller businesses, and we are very small, but a lot of the single person sole traders would have struggled. So we're trying to support as much of them as possible. When we reopen, we'll get all the, like the local people who do the baking and stuff like that. Give them a space to come and sell, because they'll have been really struggling.
Yeah, massively. I mean, the whole gig economy just basically fell away overnight as well.
Yeah,
a lot of freelancers, contracts were cancelled, everything put on hold, and especially if you got a limited company, because I think one of the gaps was for limited companies that you couldn't actually make any claim on grants, or I might not be 100% accurate there, but I think I am. I think there was a bit of a loophole on limited companies where they couldn't get anything. So it's not, it's been good in some circumstances for some businesses and some setups, but then it's not for others.
No.
So it's just been a really tricky time, and continues to be a tricky time. And it's better to be in work than out of work. But if you're made redundant at the moment as well, with the job market as it is, it's really challenging. We are by no means out of the woods yet, but really pleased to hear that you guys have been, not just surviving, but thriving almost, in terms of, developing an online channel, and people have been, ordering the gins and bringing a little bit of sunshine into their lives through Cuckoo.
I think that was the idea, wasn't it? On the social side of it, was just bring that enjoyment that people have here onto the website. Tom's the one with the more of a personality, so he was the one who was shoved online, essentially.
Your social's been great. Your social has been really, really good.
I think it's been. I mean, I think we make good use of it anyway, even when the world is normal, as it were. But I think we've really, as a company, we've kind of brought everything onto Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the beauty of it is it's free.
Yeah.
Free to use, but your outreach to people is amazing. So everyone uses it nowadays, don't they? So I think it was important for us, and like Mark said, just when lockdown was happening, to make sure we're hammering. And then sometimes you're like, right, I need a video from you. Like, fucking hell, I was like, I don't know if I've got it in me today, but then you've got it.
I've washed my beard.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. And then it's like, we need a blog. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what to write about. And then it's like, well, just write about anything. It doesn't matter, does it? As long as we're getting out there.
As long as it's content.
Yeah, exactly.
Links.
Content is the word. Like, we made sure from the start we wanted to make people realise that you could still have a bit of fun in this shitty situation.
Yeah, I remember 2 days before Boris's announcement, I think it was, we sat in the office, didn't we? And we were like, what are we going to do now? And we literally went through every form of medium that you can use to interact. And that was it. It was keep things going. I mean, things like newsletters and stuff like that. We probably did 3 last year. We've done one every 3 weeks, but they're great things that you can overlook sometimes when you're busy in your day-to-day life. But if people have signed up to a newsletter, they want to know about you. So to send them a lot of information, this is what we're doing. These are Tom's thoughts. Here's a bit of facts on gin. And thanks for reading. Here's a discount. It's a win-win for everybody. So that was something I've learned. I mean, we've edited the website. We've spent some money making the website look better and more usable as well. So I think, yeah, I'm proud. I'm really proud of that side of it. And it's something, when we sat down at the start of the year and looking at where sales were going to come from, the online thing was just like, oh, we'll just let it tick over. It's there. Not many people buy online because you've got to pay for delivery with gin. So it was, but now it's like, actually, you could probably it could be a job for somebody if we can keep it up.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first, Hot Podders. Look out for a job application going up on the Cuckoo website in the next few months.
You want to be the face of the brand. Who's going to kick Tom off his perch?
Yeah.
Nobody could replace that face.
Yeah. You come and try and write a blog every 3 weeks.
Dude, I've done it. When I worked at DPG, I was community manager. I was responsible for all content, and you literally, no word of a lie, right? We used to go out on a Friday. We used to have a few beers, and that was when we were at our most creative. And we used to plan it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and have a drink every couple of weeks. And you always have your best ideas when you're having a bit of banter and a bit of fun, and you can get really creative. And some of it was just really far left field. Like, you know, we even did stuff like, which ice lolly best reflects your personality, you know, and did a little quiz. So you could do like which gin best reflects your personality,
Yeah.
and, you know, and have some interactive stuff on your website. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you can be as creative and you know, push the boat out as far as you feel comfortable as a brand. And what I love, you know, and Gav and I, you know, every time we talk about Cuckoo in the podcast is, you know, you guys do push the boat out. You are creative. You're not afraid to just get online and be yourselves. And I think that's a testament to sort of, you know, how you've developed the Cuckoo brand over the last few months in really challenging conditions. So, you know, well done to you all. It's been great to see.
Yeah, that is the strategy. But if you've not got bags of money to spend on advertising or sales managers, you know, it's kind of, you just got to be yourself, don't you? People buy off people.
Absolutely.
As long as you're honest, it can go a long way.
I think that's kind of, it's been our attitude from day one really, but I think we found is, and it's come to light really in lockdown, like it's so important just to be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can clearly see we're not acting. We're not good actors at all. This is the real thing. This is all you're gonna get. So it was important to us, especially.
Like.
Well, that's it, and it's like, especially where we are in the world as well. It's people, especially locally and nationwide as well, but especially locally, they like that. You can kind of see that we're laid back about it, but behind closed doors, like, we're serious about it too. We want to be big time.
Well, you know, I mean, it says you've got to have a good product.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be great at marketing, but if you've got a shit product, your marketing will only cover that for a certain amount of time because you won't get repeat buyers. But, you know, if you've got a quality product and your marketing is authentic, fun, you know, comedy value, bit of banter, with a serious tone as well.
And again, testament to Jared, Mark, and everyone like involved in the recipes and everything. Like, it's that is the half the battle's won there.
Yeah,
the product's amazing. You know what I mean? We don't have to sell the product that much. It's us as a company we have to sell, and why we're different from other brands. That's what we come up against more when we're out on the road.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where we had to challenge ourselves to step out of this kind of Lancashire thing that we're quite clearly proud of. However, when you go to London, no one really cares about that. So it's like you've got to set yourself away from the big flashy brands that you get down there, but then show people something real. And that's what people appreciate more out of anything.
Yeah, I do enjoy the London shows. I think it's always good. People, you start speaking and they look at you like you're speaking a foreign language at first. But then they soon enjoy the kind of the charisma, the charm, the honesty. There's no sales pitch. You know, there never will be from me or Tom. You can ask us about the brand and how it's made and stuff, and we'll tell you. But I never want us to go anywhere and be like, you know, I wouldn't come on here now and say, this is on offer, buy this. You know, it's kind of not what we're about. So as people can make their mind up themselves.
Yeah, so we'll never go to a show and be like, you've got to have this, this is why you should have our gin. We'll just tell you the story, tell you why we love the brand. And then I guarantee you'll leave with a bottle. No, but it is, I think there's no room, especially like what we do, like the pushy sales thing I don't think it's really the way to go in the gym world, really.
No, I mean, there's so many gins. I mean, you know, when we were talking about, I think we had a conversation about different types of gin as well. And, you know, I mean, I don't know whether you've worked on the Lancashire Hot Pod gin that we talked about, Tom, that we said that we'd 50-50 on. I don't know whether you broached that subject with Mark. But
yeah, it was after then the small matter of a pandemic happened, so we had to put it on the back burner for now.
Is the extra time not giving your creatives, your ingredients, a chance to sort of focus on any new flavors? Is anything in the pipeline, or are we just sticking with what we've got so far?
All I can think about at the moment is which type of cardboard is best for transporting gin. how much fragile tape we've got.
Well, those are the important things.
Yeah, I think the ranges. We launched the vodka, didn't we, during lockdown? Just straightforward, clean Lancashire spirit. And knocked up some ready-made cocktails as well. So Tom made like 4 of his cocktails, and we put them into bottles, which were really nice. I've enjoyed drinking them at home if no one else has. So in terms of products, probably more next year in terms of anything majorly new. Just trying to establish what we've got, but as we've said, this year's, it's changed things up, but it has given us an opportunity to create loyalty massively. And like you say, if you could get a repeat buyer, I mean, there's a few people I could name on this podcast now. I know where they live. I've been to their house about 6 times, dropping gin off. They're fantastic customers. One of the funny stories that I come across sometimes is obviously people know me and Tom from the business and everything. So I always take this as a way of like why I might not be as popular being married. But sometimes I'll knock on a door and there's a look of disappointment that it isn't Tom dropping it off. They're like, "Where's Tom?" I'm like, "Oh, he's in the other van today. He's doing PR5, I'm afraid."
And then you just hear,
It's the other way around for me. It's people wanting Mark.
Yeah, good lad.
I'm sure you can contribute to each other's fan clubs.
Yeah. It's been great though. It's been like but it's a job in itself, isn't it? Like Mark was saying, the delivery driver thing. I doff my cap to anyone who does that job, because it's not just driving around all day. And it can be hard work, can't it? It's mad how much you've got to think about when you're on. And if there's traffic, we loved it in the first 2 weeks, didn't we?
Yeah, novelty.
No traffic at all.
There was no one on roads, and then I did some delivery on, was it yesterday? And it was like, God, it was so busy. It was like, it's back to normal now, isn't it? Yeah.
It's nice listening to podcasts, isn't it, as well, when you're driving around?
Yeah, it is, especially the Lancashire Hot Pod.
I've heard it's really good, mate. Yeah, I've heard it's really varied, some great guests on.
Oh, yeah. I like your, obviously we worked quite closely with the Bee Centre. And,
yeah, with the honey connection, isn't there?
Yeah, the honey's in our sunshine and in our rum. So it's, but that's I didn't realise how much they actually knew about bees. Obviously, I knew they did, but like it's mad how much they know about bees.
Well, Gav,
I've listened to that one a couple of times. I learned so much off that podcast. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's mad. Bees are mad.
Gav, you introed George from the Woods Co-op to them, didn't you?
Yeah, and they've got a few things in the a few secret things in the pipeline. But he started stocking their honey, and they're keeping in contact, I think.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, because we had the podcast plans as well. I think, Tom, we talked about when we got to 50th episode, we'd want to do a big event, and we talked about using the Nest for that event and getting everybody together that has been on the podcast, and bring some local businesses together and turn that into a bit of a sort of networking stroke piss up, or just soft drinks are maybe available, and maybe an actual Lancashire hot pod or hot pot. So yeah, no matter what business you're in, what line of work, what life you lead, this pandemic has put a big plank of wood through the wheels to halt everything. But everyone that we speak to, conversations like this, just show that people can adapt, they can flex, and they will make things work. And massive thanks to everybody that's done that out there, who've bought things from local producers, whether that's gin, cheese, arrabbiata sauce, honey, you name it. And I think businesses will come through this and be stronger for it, in some way, shape, or form.
I think from our point of view as well, we've been humbled by the support we've had throughout. Really, we could never imagine how much gin people have bought, to be honest. Like, they've been really, really generous with their money, their hard-earned money, during a difficult time. So, if you're listening, hopefully you are, the people local to us and nationwide, we're proud to call you our customers. So we thank you for that.
Wicked.
Bit of good news for the weekend. We have got our first event, haven't we, on Sunday? Well, you have, Tom.
Yes.
I'm having a day off on Sunday.
Sounds like it's deserved.
So not really. So Holton Tower Farmers Market's back open. So we'll probably see a lot of the people you've had on the pod as well.
Fantastic.
So I think you've got to book a slot for it, so you can go between 10 and 11 and stuff like that. So that's good news that we're out at an event. And Tom, you don't have to use the gazebo either, do you? You can trade out the van.
Could be straight out of the van, not using that gazebo, which I love using.
And will you be wearing a mask, Tom? Because you'll need an extra large one just to get it round the girth of the.
You need some pair of boxes or something. I don't know. I haven't worn one. Maybe I should have done when I've been doing my deliveries and stuff, but I haven't been in contact with anyone really. So, mate, I think
I'm certainly not criticising you for it. I was asking whether you wear a mask at these events.
I think it might be a rule, to be honest.
You've got to. I think you have to wear one on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the staff wear them when we reopen. Not sure the young lasses behind the bar will be too keen on it, but I did say feel free to make your own. Make it a bit better than our industrial ones we've got from the farm.
Yeah, make them a bit more stylish.
Yeah.
Wicked. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to sort of get you back on the Hot Pod and and keep us abreast of all things Cuckoo. Like I say, it's been a great conversation, and just so pleased that you've made it work. In challenging conditions. And the future is still looking bright, especially when you hopefully, fingers crossed, Gav, 4th of July, we can get to Smokies as well in Chorley. And get over to you, because of course we got the distillery vouchers, and we were planning to come in March or April. We're going to get some of our friends over from Leeds who won the competition, and of course we've not been able to do that. So when you're back open, we'll definitely be paying a visit. The distillery tour, and you check out the nest. So hopefully you got some good things planned. So if you're listening to this and you want to check Cuckoo out, if you head to www.brindledistillery.co.uk, you can hit the website where you can see the Cuckoo collection. Also like the Father's Day package that you've done, very nice. I like the glass. The Bristol Distillery, obviously the bar and experiences, and keep in touch. Sign up for the newsletter. It sounds like they're writing 1-3 a week. Tom's fingers are hurting from hitting that keyboard so much.
I did give you one time off, Tom. I did one.
Yeah, he did. Bart did do one actually, and it was very good as well. Which I think that's why you shouldn't do them.
I had the missus edit it. That's why.
Getting rid of all the typos.
Yeah.
Because he does it after he's drank his wine, you see. He's like that. Of course, you can check out Cuckoo's live events on Facebook, or I think the cool kids call it IGTV, which is Insta TV. You'll be an influencer soon. You'll be a gin poster boy.
No, I tell you what, the day I become an influencer, shoot me. I'm not being associated with that shower. Not a chance.
Say that.
I'll influence people in the right way. I won't be selling skinny teas and stuff like that.
I'm thinking beard oil, mate. I'm thinking,
beard oil might be a shout actually. Yeah. So if there's anyone out there who's involved in beard oil, you need a beard.
You need a poster boy.
And I've got one, so you can use it.
Well, like I say, keep going with your socials. Please, people, get in touch. Watch the live events. Watch the live tours. Find out more about the cocktails that are available, and of course, check out the products. And you never know, you might get poster boy Tom knocking on your door, or Mark.
Or Mark.
Or Mark.
Just the guy that makes the gin.
Exactly. The producer rather than the poster boy. Well, listen, we'll get links to the website posted up in the description, in the bio. Obviously, we'll share this across our social channels as well. And of course, if you've been listening to this and you're not subscribed, you can see this on YouTube, the Lancashire Hot Pod YouTube channel, and we'll have it on all your favourite podcast channels as well. So please subscribe and give it a share. Help a local business, or just a nationwide or even international business a bit of a lift in this strange time. But Tom, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Mike. Thanks for having us again.
And Mark,
Nice to see you go.
it's been a
Nice one,
pleasure to
guys.
see you.
Cheers, guys.
Is your partner in crime there as well, the little furry thing, or have they disappeared?
Be careful.
I don't mean Tom.
Oh, he's here. He was asleep.
Oh,
But hi.
good night. Wicked. Well, Gav, I'll let you get back to your Avenger and superhero themed room. You've obviously watching a few Marvel films tonight. We'll tell you a little secret after the poddy, but I think we'll hold it there. So listen, Hot Bodders, thanks for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check out the Cuckoo website, and you'll be hearing from the boys very soon, I'm sure. We'll check you later. See you later.
Cheers.
Nice one. See you later.
Thank you.
Now for our feature presentation.
Lancashire hot. Down here together for the one and only. We're just a couple of northern monkeys. Hurry, Cuckoos.